Okay. Hi, Marta. Welcome back.
Hi. So from last time, we did a 24-hour recall on February 16th. And so let's talk about your results from the 24-hour recall.
Sounds good.
So this is my circle chart. And some things that I would like to talk about, I will write in here, and then I'm going to leave one blank, and that's whatever you want to talk about. So from your 24-hour recall, I want to talk about your low intake of vegetables, your low intake of fruits, your high intake of refined grains, your high intake of added sugars, and then your low intake of seafood as a protein. And then the last one, whatever you want to talk about.
Okay.
So between these six, which ones would you like to talk about?
I think, let's see, refined grains and added sugars.
Okay. Yeah. Why did you pick refined grains?
I think refined grains, it's like, because I think that's more what I eat.
Okay. And why did you pick your high intake of added sugars?
I think that just wanted to know more about added sugars.
Okay.
And
what do you know so far about added sugars?
Added sugars, I think it's just like the extra that they, like for juices, it's like added sugar in the juices or in like anything, like maybe yogurt or milks and stuff like that.
Okay. And what do you know about refined grains?
Refined grains, not too sure.
Not too sure. Okay, so refined grains, so there's a difference from whole grains and refined grains. Refined grains are more processed and they don't have as much nutrients as a whole grain would. So for refined grains, it kind of loses the vitamins and minerals that it naturally has, whereas whole grains, it's not so much processed, and the grain is just completely intact, whereas a refined, there's not so much nutrients in it, and it's just like the endosperm, and then whatever factory or company that makes breads or pastas or anything, they add nutrients to it, so they'll add like vitamin D in milk, like they have the fortified. That's pretty much what refined grains is. So this is so what next we're going to talk about the refined grains and added sugars more, but I want you to tell, this is my scale, this is my ruler, so from what 0 is, it's that that's not important to you at all, whereas 10, it's like, this is like my life, this is what is super important to me.
Okay.
So from a scale of 0 to 10, how important is refined grains for you?
I think it would be like 5 or probably a 6.
5 or 6. Why did you pick 5 and 6?
Because refined grains, I feel like it's probably not so much as important as whole grains, but still more important as far as like it's, I think it's just a convenience thing. It's kind of like in the products already. A lot of products have it, like
refined grains.
Yeah, refined grains.
So something that like that's in your intake more frequently, and so it is somewhat important to you. Why not a lower number?
Because like Luke said, it is still important to me. As far as I think convenience and having it something like a preference that I like those type of foods, though that the way they taste or the way that it's made.
Okay. So why not a higher number then?
I guess it could be a higher number, but I do like certain refined grains the way they are, whereas whole grains sometimes it's just the taste of whole grains isn't as great as like the other one. Just maybe it's just kind of a thing that I'm used to over picking the whole grains.
So it's not so much of well, you know that it's good for you as the whole grains, but from what you've grown up with and what you just prefer, it's refined grains. It's just
preference.
And convenience is also important for you. So what about added sugars? Where would you be on a scale of importance?
Probably like a 4. It's not as important to me to have things with added sugar, but even though I know like a lot of stuff already has added sugar.
Why not? Why did you pick 4?
Let's see. I could have picked a lower number, but I feel like it's still a little bit important because there's some things like juices that, you know, I prefer or drink that have added sugars in it, and I just like the taste of it. So, and then sometimes it's just easier to just buy than that.
So convenience is a big factor for you.
Yes.
Okay. So why not a lower number for added sugars?
Not a lower number because I don't like having those things.
Because of the convenience and how it tastes and
Yes.
stuff like that. Oh, why not a higher number?
Not a higher number because for health reasons and not having, like, I personally don't prefer adding sugars to everything like my tea or coffee. I don't ever add any sugar. Sometimes I'll add honey, but like if I have a sore throat or something, and honey is usually a natural anyways, but yeah, so I don't add like sugars to anything. But most of the stuff that's already that I eat is already has added sugars in it.
So it's just what you eat. It's not so much as you physically adding more sugar.
Yeah,
it's just like the foods that you eat.
Don't physically add. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So how both of what you picked is you have a high or higher intake of added sugars and a higher intake of refined grains. How would you change into lowering your refined grains?
Probably eating more whole grains, like maybe having pasta, whole grains, even every once in a while. Then every time having refined grains in like pasta dishes and stuff, even though the whole grains are not so much like the taste of it compared to the other one.
So taste is a big factor for you.
Taste is a big factor. I've had whole grain pasta. It's not the greatest, but for me.
Yeah, so is that something, so taste is something that you're trying, is a big factor for you, so it kind of like stops you from eating whole grains because you've had it before and you didn't really like it.
Yeah.
What do you think are some factors to you not changing?
Well, yeah, like taste or convenience or let's say expense.
Okay.
So if it's more expensive to buy whole grains compared to refined grains, you know, depending, it would probably just be easier to and more convenient just to buy refined grains like in pasta or stuff.
So cost is also a factor, just as well as taste. What about added sugars? So, like, what do you think would be a factor into lowering? How would you go about lowering your added sugars?
Drinking or like let's say eating things that have like it says no sugars added, like for juices example, maybe go more organic.
So so you want to lower it, you would want to go organic. what's stopping you from going organic?
Probably expense.
Expense.
You know, sometimes
Expense
it
is
can be a
not good.
couple dollars more compared
Mhm.
to buying just a regular juice. Or, yeah, just convenience. Maybe a lot of, you know, I think, well, I guess a lot of more grocery stores are carrying more organic, but our expense would probably be one factor.
If it doesn't change, if you're high intake of refined grains or you're high intake of added sugars, what effect might that have on your life?
If it doesn't change, health-wise would probably come into the factor of, you know, not being as fit or healthy and stuff like that. That would probably come into play.
How important is it to you to stay fit?
Probably very important, you know, to be able and not have any health problems, have more energy and physically fit, and being able to be healthy just in general.
Cool. Is lowering your refined grains and lowering your added sugars, is that something you could change? Would you want to change?
Yeah, definitely.
And in what ways would you try to implement that?
Buying more like whole grain stuff and just having things with no added sugars, or like cooking things from scratch instead of buying processed things in the store.
So the next thing, how you can implement that is by doing a SMART plan. And a SMART plan is something that we have here, and it's an acronym for things that. So if you so you said to add more whole grains into your diet. So how you can do that is by let's say like you did oatmeal. You had oatmeal earlier, and when we did the 24-hour recall, and how instead of, you said you had like the packets of like the thing, but what are some options is that you can buy just a whole grain oatmeal or like whole grain cereal as well.
Yeah.
And so for a SMART plan, it has like specific things that you would want to achieve to lower your refined grains or to lower your added sugars. So what we can do is, as this for specific things that you can add, and then how much so like measurable, some things that are measurable, and then achievable, so something that you can do and like on whether it's a daily basis or a weekly basis, and then something realistic. So you don't want to like, you want to do baby steps. You don't want to just like go cold turkey and just jump into whole grains. So for you to stick to the plan, we need to have it realistic and something that is time limited. So like you said, you wanted to be being fit and healthy is an important factor to you. So we would incorporate that if you like. Is that something you're interested in?
Yes.
Okay. So let's start with the lowering your refined grains. So something, so you can do whole grains. So from your food groups and calorie reports that we did. So for whole grains, what your target is, you want more than 3 ounces. So this is 6 ounces. So if you do half of that of dried oatmeal, then you can you can reach your target weight for or target point for whole grains. So something specific would be 3 ounces of 3 ounces of whole grain oatmeal. And then something that's achievable. So, how often would you want to eat oatmeal? So, do you eat oatmeal every day, or how often do you eat oatmeal?
Probably like 3 to 4 times a week.
3 or 4 times a week. So, how often would you want to implement whole grain instead of refined grain oatmeal?
Well, we could do, 4 days a week, 5 days a week, and eat that whole grains for 4 to 5 days a week instead of just 3 days.
So you think you can just go full force and do it 5 days a week?
Probably
or
not.
Should,
or probably like,
or should it
4 days a week.
4 days a week. Okay. So 4 days a week. And then time limited. So for time limited, when do you usually eat oatmeal?
Around, I think, like 7 to 8
So
in the morning.
Would it be like when you wake up and stuff? Or?
Yeah. Well, usually, yeah.
Yeah. So, do you think you could stick to something like this? 3 ounces of, then you would cook it and then a little bit more. So 3 ounces of whole grain oatmeal 4 days a week in the morning. That is something doable. Okay. And for added sugars, so from what you ate, from your added sugars, it'd be like cranberry juice and some of the oatmeal, the cinnamon, and some of that will come, the added sugars would come from the cookies and a little bit of the milk. So for looking at what, from the 24-hour recall, what are some things that you think that you can eliminate by lowering your added sugars?
Well, like for the oatmeal, I usually have them in the packets, and they're different flavors, like apple cinnamon or brown sugar. So instead of having those that are already flavored, just having plain oatmeal, and cooking that, and then maybe just adding fresh fruit to it.
Fresh fruit, yeah, definitely. How much do you think that you would be adding? Just because from what is it? So this would be a cup of the oatmeal. So you had about 2 cups of the oatmeal. So how much fruit do you think you would add?
Probably like,
because a good serving of fruit a day would be about 2 cups. But I don't think you want 2 cups on top of 2 cups of oatmeal.
Yeah, so I was thinking maybe like if we did like probably like 3 ounces.
3 ounces.
Just, to add to the oatmeal on top of that, like bananas or something. I like bananas.
Good. And that would increase your potassium intake as well. So for the SMART goal for added sugars, to lowering your added sugar, well, what else? What else would you?
Probably not having cookies with my coffee, and
or
just having coffee. I don't think I can get rid of the milk and coffee.
Baby steps.
Yeah,
baby steps for realistic. We're trying to be realistic. Maybe instead of 4 Danish buttermilk cookies, maybe 2.
Yeah, I could probably have 2 cookies,
2
or
instead of 4.
maybe 1 cookie, depending on how big it is.
That's good. What about the cranberry juice?
Cranberry juice, we can maybe instead of cranberry juice, drink water or something, or dilute it, possibly.
Okay.
Diluting half and half to kind of not have so much sugars.
Yeah, because from what I see is we had 2 servings of 16 ounces, so this would be 16 ounces.
Yeah.
So doing half it, so like 8 ounces of cranberry juice, and then you said like diluting it halfway as well to lower.
So having like maybe 1 serving or 1 16-ounce cup of cranberry juice compared to 2.
Yeah. Very good. Okay, so what would, we'll take it one step at a time, one baby step. So what's one thing that that you can lower the added sugars on? Which would you pick?
I would say probably the cranberry juice.
Cranberry juice? Okay, so less cranberry juice. And then instead of 2 servings of 16 ounce, you said 1 serving of 16 ounce? 1 serving of 16 ounce. And then diluting it with water.
Yes.
And then how often do you drink cranberry juice?
I would say like probably 5 times a week.
Okay. And then, so it's really frequent for you. So you like cranberry juice. And then, when do you usually drink cranberry juice?
Probably in like for lunchtime around then.
So you would do the 1 serving of the cranberry juice.
Lunchtime.
Okay. Well, does that look good for you?
Yes.
Would you change anything? Cool. Okay. Great. Do you have any more questions? Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay.